All right, it's Monday. We know what that means. Time to talk to Mike Perkins from the Bozeman Icedogs as we welcome you into the Coach's Show here on CIH Media. Coach, how you doing? How was Halloween?
Halloween was great. We had a good time over at the mall, and the guys did a fantastic job. And saw a lot of kids. Went through 5 bags of candy.
Oh,
Rex, the Wonder Dog, our mascot, was there as well, and we had a great time. The guys did a good job. We even had a couple guys dress up in costumes. Not everybody, but we wore our jerseys and had a great time. So the guys did a fantastic job. I got to give them a lot of credit. They did a great job with kids.
what was the best costume you saw, whether it was an individual or a family who came up to the table?
Oh, well, actually, there, I don't even know what it was, but it was like some gal was wearing like a dead deer head with antlers, and it looked pretty cool. But the interesting thing is that when she talked, the mouth worked with it.
Oh,
So probably that was probably the coolest. But of course, we had everything from Baby Yodas to Mandalorians and anything in between. So lots of great costumes.
the deer head wasn't real, was it?
I don't think so, but it was pretty interesting.
Oh my goodness. Well, it sounds like a great time was had by all over at the mall. And I saw, some of the snapshots from the events, and I saw a lot of people in those Montana State jerseys, the
Yep. So
Bobcats.
so our partner in our cats and dogs super raffle, MSU Bobcats Division II ACHA hockey team was there as well, and it's great to see them out there. And of course, uh, we partner with them in a lot of different things that we do over the course of the year, and of course, it's an opportunity for some of our guys to level up and play college hockey. And we actually have a Southern California, Orange County kid who played for Capo. Zach Lane plays for MSU Bobcats. So all the fans back in Southern California would recognize that name, and he's having a great senior season. They're off to a really good start, and Zach is definitely in a leadership capacity and a leadership role on that team and scoring goals like he always does.
One of the legends in the ADHSHL. I can't believe he's a senior already. Time just flies by, doesn't it?
It doesn't stop for anyone.
All right. Well, last time we talked, you were all getting ready for the Halloween event, as it is called, and then it was back to the grind. You guys got to the pit, and I got to tell you that facility is something else. You and I were talking just before we started recording this show. What's it like having a facility like that to get to and get to the grind every week?
Well, first of all, the pit are great partners of ours. Owner Dane Fletcher is a big fan of what we do and a big supporter. We can't thank the pit enough for what they allow us to do on a weekly basis and train our players at the pit. It's a great facility, number one, and the people there and their staff are top notch. So to be able to train in a facility like that is pretty great for our players and gives us an edge that we need on a physical side.
Yeah, that was certainly something you needed going into these games this past weekend. Of course, the doubleheader, back-to-back days against Butte.
Yep.
No secret, came out on the short end in both of those games, but to me, seemed improved from one game to the next. With that first game, it was a 6-3 Irish win. Back and forth for most of the contest. What challenges did you see come your way in that third period when the Irish were able to pull away?
Well, really, it was a 1 goal game. We were down. They had scored, and then we scored to tie it up to make it 3-3. And they got a kind of a goofy goal on a kind of a miscommunicated line change, and we battled through it, but they ended up getting 2 extra empty net goals to make it 6-3. So really, it's a 1 goal game. We outchanced them, we outshot them, which kind of seems to be something that we got to really work on. But we felt pretty good after that game, and then Saturday night's game was probably one of our best efforts of the season. Coming up short in a shootout isn't always indicative of a final score. I think the shootout sometimes gives a little bit of false sense of security on one end and a false sense of loss on the other end. But I told the guys in the locker room after the game, I said, you can't weigh the win, from our standpoint. Obviously from a fan standpoint, it looks one direction. And then of course the points in the standings do benefit the winner of what I consider a skills competition in the shootout. And it went 8 rounds. And on their ace shooter, nobody had scored. And on their ace shooter, they got a goal behind Matthew Reinanen, who I felt gave us every opportunity to win that hockey game. And he had a great effort and played a very good game. And but up and down the roster, I thought we played a very solid game. We were pretty tight on the back end and limited their opportunities. And our penalty kill was really strong. They did get a power play goal, but we killed off, several penalties that, and they have a good power play. And of course they put Patrick Crooks on the one side and let him hammer away. And, for the most part, we solved that. He did get a goal, but, we killed off 4-on-3 in overtime and got back to it. I think that kind of threw us off a little bit and couldn't get our mojo back and in enough time to get anything really going. I think they had like 9 shots in overtime, and Matthew figured out how to save all those. And again, his effort has to be respected. He did a great job, and we couldn't get into position where we were at without him. And but late, being 2-1, going late into the third period, and we found a way to get a goal on a great pass from Chris Pershunkula to Mason Zarnecki, and Mason one-timed it in the back of the net. It was a great goal, and the guy stuck to it and played through maybe a couple of bad bounces we felt, and stuck with it and got us a point in the standings, which is what we needed. And it'd been nice to get that extra point, but we did get a point out of the weekend, and it's something to build off of.
What do you tell your goaltender going into a shootout? What's your message typically? Does it matter which goaltender it is, or is it pretty much the same message every time?
It's a hard thing, as a coach. Like you really don't want to say a whole lot to them. You don't want them to be, in the moment. You don't want them to be thinking anything other than them focusing on trying to make saves. As a coach from my end of it, a fist pump or a high five or a whatever it might be, just to know that they got our support as a coaching staff. But I try not to say a whole lot to goaltenders in those situations, and really across the board when it comes to game time, we really I don't say a whole lot to the goalies. They know what their job is. They know what they're supposed to do at this level. And Matthew's been very good for us. And as with Sean Smur and Isaac Weatherford, all 3 goalies have been very good for us throughout the early part of the season. And we feel like we got 3 goalies that we can put in at any time to get the job done.
You mentioned the penalty kill over the weekend. Butte scored 3 times, but on 12 opportunities. So what did you see from your penalty killing unit? And they gave up 2 in the first game, 1 in the second game. How did you see them improve over those 2 games, and what do you like what that unit is doing right now?
Yeah, we had to make a couple adjustments, obviously from Friday night to Saturday night, and we really had to try to force play to one side of the ice and keep the puck to one side of the ice. Not to give away too many secrets here, but obviously that we have to make an adjustment to that. Crooks is got a very good one-timer, and we got to really limit his opportunities on that. And he ended up scoring on Saturday night on a one-timer. But for the most part, we really limited his chances, and they were 1 for 6 on Saturday night. Obviously Friday night they did get 2, and we had to make that adjustment.
I've been following this team as best I can from afar over the past few weeks that we've been doing this show. When the team gets behind, it seems like they get an extra little bit of a jump start. And you already mentioned behind both games this weekend, and we're able to battle back and tie it. What is it about this squad that seems to thrive when they're behind?
I think we have some good leadership in the room. Some players that they know what their role is, and they go out and get the job done. Whether it's a Braden Kalia or Bodie Shepherdson or Spencer Wilkinson or Chris Borshunkula, or Cody Wallenberg's not a veteran to our team, but he's a junior veteran player, and guys like that, Wes Weissenberger and Bryce Sturm and Casey Sturm and Ben Fries, and guys like that Matthias Godfrey. Those guys are leaders and veterans on our team, and those guys know what the job is, and they go out and get it done. So we have every confidence in our guys that they're gonna find a way to battle back into it if we do get down, and they've proven that here in the last couple of nights, and we got to build off of that and get out in front. We did get out in front on Friday night, and then relinquish the lead, unfortunately. But they did go up, and then we battled back, and Kalia got a goal to make it 3-3, and unfortunately we just couldn't keep the puck out of the back of the net on their fourth one. But we have guys that have that veteran leadership that know what their role is, and are capable of getting the job done.
See the Irish again this upcoming weekend, back-to-back games Friday and Saturday. Do you like playing the same team 4 times in a row? Does it help with preparation, or would you rather it be spread out?
Well, we play them 8 times over the course of the year, so not only do we play them 4 times in a row now, but we're going to see them 4 times in the second half of the season as well. So it really didn't matter to me. They got a good team there. Every time we play them, we're going to make ourselves better as well. So we're looking forward to this weekend, and we had a good practice here this morning and good skate, and the guys got good energy and good vibes in the locker room. So we're going to prepare ourselves and be ready to go on Friday night.
A couple of home games too this weekend, 7:30 on both nights. That's got to be nice.
Yeah. So both games at home, guys will be able to sleep in their own bed, which like last weekend we could too, because Butte's only an hour and 10 minutes away, which is awesome. We didn't leave Bozeman until 4:00 on Saturday afternoon. So that drive is pretty easy, although there is a pass between Bozeman and Butte, and during the season, maybe later in the year when it starts to snow a little bit more, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that when it comes to travel time.
Yes, please be careful. I know, even though it's a shorter drive than everywhere else in the league, there's always an obstacle, especially in the wintertime. All right, so with these 2 games coming up, I'm sure you learned a lot about Butte over last weekend, and you can try to make the adjustments where necessary. 3 stars of the week this week from the team, your usual suspects. Of course, Pershunkula was the number 1 star for the team. Number 2 was Sarnecki, and then number 3 was Kaliha. Your leaders are showing up and showing out, and you're going to need them again this weekend. What's the message to them after 2 teams against the same opponent that you'll see again?
More of the same, and we need more guys getting in the mix. That's really kind of the big message for us, is that we talked about this before. If we score 4 goals a game, we're in a good place. If we limit the other team to 2 goals a game, then we're in a good place. And we came up on the short end on the goals for on Saturday night, but we kept them to 2. So to our advantage, we got a point out of the deal, and because we did keep that in check. So we need to get on the board more, and that's really going to be our focus throughout the rest of the week, is finding ways to get pucks in the back of the net.
Well, looking at the positives after last weekend, no changes in the standings, still right there in 3rd place. I know Helena and Gillette had a series over the weekend, and Gillette now is on top of the league after taking care of Helena. So no changes there, still 3 points clear in that 3rd place position. So things looking good right now. Hold and serve.
Yep. Hold serve.
I want to switch gears a little bit and talk on a much more serious topic. Of course, the tragic events surrounding Adam Johnson and his unfortunate passing after the incident on the ice a couple of weeks ago. Has there been any discussion amongst you in your club about any safety measures, or just maybe talking to the players about the dangers of the sport and how to better protect themselves moving forward?
That's a great question. Obviously, the hockey world's a small place and everybody knows everybody. You're only one person removed from knowing everybody. And the sad part, Adam Johnson's from Hibbing, Minnesota, and played college hockey at the University of Minnesota Duluth. And of course, we have some ties through that program here in Bozeman with the Icedogs. Our both Coach Burton's and my college coach played at the University of Minnesota Duluth as a volunteer assistant and a big supporter of UMD. So obviously that side of it, our hearts go to the UMD community, to the Johnson family, and to everybody in the hockey world that he impacted their lives on. So, but as far as, it's funny, I have my own young player to think about and deal with when it comes to this. And I had been looking prior to this event happening. I was looking at some under some base layer equipment that would allow for some neck protection. And and I was talking about this the other day as a player, my neck was wide open when I played, and a lot of players are, and a lot of our players are in that position as well. So I was doing some checking with War Road Company. TJ Oshie owns a company that has a base layer and an apparel line, but they have a base layer that has Kevlar in the mock turtleneck and in the wrist area, and then in the pants and the back of the legs and the lower part of the legs, and then the interior of the legs as well, Kevlar inside that material to protect those vital areas. And I think as the game gets faster and the players get bigger and stronger, that some of those areas have to be considered and thought about. And I know across Hockey Canada at the youth level, they do require players to wear neck guards. I did see that the CGHL, which is Tier 2 hockey all across Canada, the governing body for Hockey Canada at the Tier 2 level, the CGHL had mandated that all players will be wearing neck guards in some way, shape, or form. And as quick as possible, they did make that contingency in their statement. I saw is that with availability, which is what I wanted to come back to, is when I called War Road Company after it happened to get some base layer for my son, is that the day before, when just after that event had happened, they had their largest sales day, and now they're totally out of product. So I do think that there's going to be an influx of that. TJ Oshie actually wore his mock turtleneck with the Kevlar in it in a game. Leagues across the world are mandating neck guards. I think it's only a matter of time before everybody is going to get on board with that. And I have not heard anything from our league standpoint if there's going to be any mandate. But I do think it's on the player and it's on the families of those players to make those decisions for safety. And I think a lot of people, when you're a youth player and you play a Canadian team and you see the kids with the neck guards, and there's always that doesn't look good, or it doesn't, I don't like the way that looks, so I'm not going to do it. When really the safety issue, again, to go back to, as players get bigger, faster, stronger, and the game continues to improve. And then the other part of it too is that the sharpening of skates has gotten so precise that the blades are so very sharp that just one little zip on close to the skin and people are being cut. You could take a look at Evander Kane, who was cut. Was it last year? Was it last year that he got cut and was out for several games? He took a cut on I think it was on the wrist, just above the glove, and was out for a short period of time. But thankfully he wasn't cut in a real vital area, but still very scary. And those blades, because of the precision of the sharpening that goes on these days, we do have to take a look at that aspect of it. Is with the advancement in technology and sharpening skates, that means the skates are even more sharp than they've ever been, and that element is definitely a piece of this and has to be monitored and looked at. And then we have to react appropriately with the correct safety requirements that go along with it. So, I mean, I know that's a long drawn out answer to all this, but I definitely think that with the skate and the precision of the sharpening and with the speed element of the game, it continues to get faster and faster, that we do have to take a look at the safety requirements when it comes to trying to get ahead of the curve when it comes to making sure that guys aren't getting cut by those skates.
Well, it certainly is a very robust topic. Player safety always has been, and thank you for your thoughts on all of that. It's good to know that player safety is always at the forefront in your mind, and of course with everybody else as we move forward, and hope that we never see anything like this ever happen again. Technology is always advancing very, very quickly, right? And whether that's the skate blade or even what protects you from the skate blade. So, hopefully in the near future we get a lot more safety measures.
That particular accident is not really indicative of a lot of situations that you see, but what is indicative is of a couple of players getting hung up together, and then one guy gets knocked down and the other guy's falling at the same time and maybe in opposite direction. That play happens a lot.
Right.
And there's probably more close calls in that situation than we really even realize. So I think that's something that has to be considered as well.
It's still, this may be a little offbeat on the topic, but it really speaks to the skill level of all these athletes. Is that how in the world does this not happen more often? Maybe not so much, the outcome we saw with Adam Johnson, but just that cuts don't occur as often as they do. It's mind-boggling to me that it doesn't happen more often. But good to know that, like I said, it's at the forefront of everyone's mind, and that more things are being looked at to help prevent these in the future.
100%.
So as we come to the end of our weekly discussion, I will open the floor to you, Iceman. You got anything coming up this week, or anything you want to say as we end our weekly chat?
Yeah, we're just a short month away from really the halfway point of our season, and our showcase in the Twin Cities in Blaine, Minnesota is just a month and a half away. This is all going so fast, and as with every season, it always does. And I know I've mentioned it before, and I'm going to mention it again. And I'm sure some of the guys will be listening to this. So the message is really to them, is that, your season is very short. You got to take advantage of every opportunity. And, regardless of what's happened in the past, we have games ahead of us, and we got to get ready for those.
Mike, thanks so much for the time. Good luck against Butte in the doubleheader this week. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Thanks, Eric.
This has been the Coaches Show here on CIH Media. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at CIH Media on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And you can watch this show on YouTube at CIH Media. And don't forget to follow the Bozeman Icedogs, of course, on all those wonderful social media platforms as well. My name is Eric Pesolano. We'll talk to you next Monday, everybody. Bye-bye.